Hey, it's 9:10 in the morning, and this is stop 2 on our walk towards the cross with Jesus this week as we prepare for Easter. And today we're in John chapter 13, and our stop is in the upper room. And Jesus has this kind of last supper, this last dinner with his guys, with his disciples. And in John chapter 13, this is probably one of my favorite chapters in the whole book of John, and maybe even in the whole New Testament. And it's because it's so convicting. It rocks me every time I read it. And it's because Jesus kind of gives this final exam to his disciples. He asks them, do you get it? Do you understand what I'm all about? And it's all about service and love and humility, and Jesus embodies it and he models it in such a cool way in this chapter. And it says that this was right before the Passover feast, and he's loved his own who were in the world. John chapter 13, verse 1, he loves them to the end. The evening meal is in progress, and Jesus gets up and he wraps a towel around his waist and he goes around and he starts washing the disciples' feet. And he asks them, do you understand what I'm doing? Do you understand what I've done for you? And probably one of the most convicting parts of this whole thing for me is at the end of John chapter 13, where he says, a new commandment I give to you. Love one another just as I've loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone you'll know you are my disciples if you love one another. And see, this isn't a new command. Right? We see this in Deuteronomy. We see it in the very beginning when Jesus is asked what's the most important command. He says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And there's nothing new about this command other than the most important part, which is just as I have loved you. See, Jesus is modeling what love looks like, and it has to equal service here. See, humility is having an appropriate view of yourself, or in C.S. Lewis's definition, it's simply thinking less about yourself. It's not thinking less of yourself. It's not false humility. It's simply thinking about yourself less. And man, I think I'm convicted daily by the fact that I'm pretty prideful and I'm conceited. And a lot of the times I'm interested in my agenda, and even sometimes in my service. If I do something around the house, or if I, pick up the dishes for Paige, or I'm almost looking for what can I get out of this? If I serve, then that makes me a better husband. Or if I serve, then I look better for it. And I've kind of told you guys the laughable story from time to time about being over at a mentor's house of mine and unloading the dishwasher for him and going like, oh, well, this, he'll think I'm a good person because of this, and waiting to do the last dish and putting it in, him coming out and going, oh, dude, thanks for doing that. And I'm like, oh, no worries. Like, I live to serve, And I was convicted this week in talking to Sean actually about, we don't know how not okay we are with service until somebody treats us like a servant, right? We might think like, no, I'm somebody who loves to serve, and I'm somebody who's really good at serving. Well, how about if somebody treats you like a servant, right? And Sean's been working this new job over at Vaughn's and helping clean up stuff because of COVID-19, and wiping stuff down, and people, to be frank, have been treated him pretty terribly sometimes, and going like, oh, cool, you're gonna make a career out of this? And him and I have been chatting about, like, it's really convicting when somebody treats you like a servant. Do you get defensive, right? Are you like, screw you, man? Or are we really okay being treated like servants? And in John chapter 13, I'm rocked by the fact that the creator of the universe, the one that has the power to say, mountain range, go over there, and a mountain range actually came up. I don't even have close to that kind of power. If I go, sun, don't rise this morning, guess what happens? The sun still rises. In the end of Job, right, all throughout Isaiah, we see this power of God. End of Revelation, where we see the throne room of God, where people are just saying, worthy, 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 holy, 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 set apart are you. That's the Jesus we're talking about. Colossians chapter 2, verse 9 says, all the deity of God is found in bodily form in the person of Jesus. That Jesus is the one who wraps a towel around his waist and washes his disciples' feet and then says, do you want to know what it means to love? It means you have to serve those around you. It means you have to make yourself less and make God increase daily in your life, right? That is the essence of the good news of the gospel, is it's all about Jesus. And yet if I make today about me and I don't serve those around me, I couldn't be further away from Jesus. If you want to walk closer with Jesus today and understand what this journey towards the cross is all about, it has to start with our humility. A new command I give you, Jesus says, that you would love one another just as I have loved you. And then get this, we'll be known as his disciples by the love we have for one another. And that can't just be empty words. That can't just be us going, oh no, I love everybody. How are we doing making ourselves less and serving those around us in the name of Jesus? Not for me, not because it makes me greater, but because the more I focus in on the gospel and the person of Jesus and what he did for me in his life, death, and resurrection, humility is my only natural response. It's convicting for me today. I hope it is for you as well. We'll see you tomorrow morning.